adult contemporary radio station in Zambia, connecting you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good evening. This is the 5FM Radio Main News. The headlines. JCTR urges President Hichilema to speak about the daily struggles of ordinary Zambians during the 13th National Assembly on Friday. IPAC consent about the government's slow pace in implementing the open access policy on the Tazama pipeline. And shock as Kenyan lawmaker killed in drive-by shooting in Nairobi. This bulletin is also live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, and on our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie. As President Hakainde Hichilema prepares to open the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly on Friday, 12 September 2025, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, calls for an address that speaks not only to national achievements, but also to the daily struggles of ordinary Zambians. JCTR Deputy Director Reverend Dr. Boyd Nyirenda notes that since 2021, successive addresses have highlighted progress in macroeconomic stability, debt restructuring, and growth in sectors such as mining and agriculture. He says while these gains are important, JCTR urges that the 2025 address demonstrate how such progress is being translated into reduced poverty, improved access to social services, and a better quality of life for households. Reverend Nyirenda says the 2025 presidential address comes at a critical moment, with Zambia recovering from the economic and climate shocks of 2024 while consolidating recent gains. He says the theme is expected to emphasize unity, continuity, and prosperity, linking past progress to the government's electoral aspirations ahead of 2026.
While load shedding persists despite the presidential promises of Chinese investment, the Mamba thermal plant is only due to come online in 2026. The medium-term economic outlook for 2028-2026 remains optimistic, with projections for increased electricity generation as rainfall conditions have normalized. Next, inclusive economic growth. Assurance that growth in mining, agriculture, and other sectors will translate into decent jobs and expanded opportunities for youth and women beyond headline figures.
Education Minister Douglas Siagalima has reassured unwavering commitment to the successful implementation of the 2023 competence-based curriculum. The minister was speaking during the official closing of the capacity building training for heads of departments on competency-based education, CBE, National Science Center. Mr. Siagama says the continuous professional development remains central to the efforts, and this government will continue to strengthen the capacity of both teachers and school learners. He says with this program, government has now concluded the second cohort of training for heads of departments in Lusaka province. Mr. Siagalima says beginning next week, all Lusaka-based deputy head teachers will also undergo training in the management of CBE. He says, therefore, the permanent secretaries will ensure that this CBE training exercise is rolled out across all 10 provinces so that every educator is fully equipped and that no learner is left behind in this transformative reform. The capacity building training for heads of departments was held under the theme Enhancing Understanding of Competency-Based Education for Effective Curriculum Implementation through the KCCP framework. The Zambia Police Service and Zambia Railways Limited has signed a memorandum of understanding to formalize their collaboration in the fight against vandalism theft, and encroachment on railway property. The landmark agreement underscores the shared commitment of both institutions to safeguard critical national infrastructure that supports Zambia's economic growth and regional trade. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Inspector General of Police Grafo Msamba described the partnership as an important milestone in addressing the security challenges faced by Zambia Railways Limited. Mr. Msamba pledged the police service commitment to implementing the provisions of the MOU. Meanwhile, ZRL Managing Director Engineer Cuthbert Malindi expressed ZRL's excitement and stressed the importance of the partnership in addressing vandalism, theft, and other railway-related crimes. Engineer Malindi said railway transport remains significant to the country's economic development through facilitation of bulk cargo movement and enhancing regional trade. The signing of the MOU underscores the importance that Zambia Railways Limited attaches to safety and security of its operations. Engineer Malindi said that through this partnership, Zambia police will assist in enforcing the law on encroachers who have encroached on railway reserve land. Former Patriotic Front Media Director and Forum for Democratic Development FDD spokesperson Antonio Mwanza has announced the launch of a new political party, Democratic Progressive Party DPP, where he is serving as president. His last held public position was Deputy Secretary General for the Socialist Party, where he was fired in August 2024. Mr. Mwanza says the party is founded on the premise that Zambia should belong to Zambians and young people should make their own decisions about their future. He has cited the Hakainde Hichilema-led government's continued prioritization of foreigners and foreign countries over their citizens, saying they are only focused on making profits. The new party president explains that electricity supply is prioritized for export and tax incentives are only enjoyed by foreign-owned companies. Mr. Mwanza has further promised an ambitious financial sector plan that will allow majority of banks in the country to be owned by Zambians with an initial investment of 1 billion kwacha into a fund that will support the plan. He has added that 200,000 jobs will be created in the sector in the next 5 years and 100,000 villagers trained in financial literacy. Other plans announced include amendments to Constituency Development Fund CDF implementation and guidelines, bringing an end to the petty politics of tribalism, introducing a modernized curriculum in the education sector, and increased transparency in the country's procurement processes.
We shall launch a nationwide financial literacy campaign reaching 10 million citizens by 2030, because we understand that not all of us understand the art of money, the art of saving, and the art of growing. Some of us don't have that art, don't have that skill, and we need to teach our people how to grow wealth, how to save. And we will ensure that all banks at least provide 1%, all local banks, all Zambian-owned banks will dedicate 1% of annual profits to community projects so we can have money for education, health, and agriculture.
And in other news trending this evening, ceremonial opening of the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly by the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, will take place on Friday, 12th September 2025. The Lusaka City Council has completed the 7070 drainage project in Kanyama, a significant milestone in efforts to mitigate flooding on the city. Up next, the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
The Acton Institute for Policy Analysis Center (IPEC) takes note of the International Monetary Fund's (IMF) recent projection that Zambia's inflation rate will decrease to 7.9% in 2026. While this development signals progress in macroeconomic stabilization, IPAC Executive Director Solomon Goma says the organization is concerned about the government's slow pace in implementing the open access policy on the Tazama pipeline. He says this lag raises questions about the government's commitment to critical structural reforms necessary for sustainable economic growth. Mr. Ngoma stresses the importance of policy consistency and effective implementation. He says for Zambia to attract investment and drive economic growth, the government must prioritize reforms that enhance economic efficiency, transparency, and accountability. He says the current energy crisis not only hampers economic productivity, but also discourages investment, exacerbates unemployment, and undermines the welfare of Zambian citizens.
It is imperative that the government takes decisive action and measures to address the root causes of load shedding, and including investing in energy infrastructure, improving governance in the energy sector, and enhancing the efficiency of energy production and distribution. Furthermore, we call on the government to develop a comprehensive strategy to mitigate the impact of load shedding on businesses and households. This strategy should include short-term measures to alleviate the immediate suffering of citizens and businesses, as well as long-term plans to ensure energy security and sustainability. Without a stable energy supply, reaching the projected inflation rate and fostering economic growth will be very challenging.
Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And in news from across our borders, Kenya has been left in shock after the killing of a senior lawyer in a drive-by shooting on a busy street in the capital, Nairobi. Matthew Kialombobu, a respected lawyer and former head of a political party's dispute tribunal, was driving home on Tuesday evening when a gunman on a motorcycle pulled alongside his vehicle and opened fire. Witnesses reported hearing multiple gunshots. The motive for the attack, which resembles the shocking killing of a lawmaker earlier this year, is unknown. Investigations are underway. The Law Society of Kenya has described the killing as abhorrent and said the crime must be dealt with swiftly and conclusively. For more, here's a roundup from the BBC.
Poland's Prime Minister says NATO pilots helped shoot down at least 3 Russian drones in his country's airspace overnight. Donald Tusk has made the rare decision to invoke Article 4 of the alliance's treaty, calling for urgent talks. A senior Russian diplomat in Poland said Warsaw had not provided evidence that the drones were of Russian origin. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations has defended his country's strike against Hamas leaders in Qatar on Tuesday, after the attack was criticised by President Trump. Danny Danon said Israel did not always act according to US interests. A South Korean court has overturned the decades-old conviction of a woman who bit the tongue off a man who was trying to rape her.
And in sports news, Liverpool are most likely to be crowned Premier League champions this season, a research group has said. Ancelotti led the Reds to the 2024-2025 title in his first season in charge as they finished 10 points clear of second-placed Arsenal. And now the CIES, International Center for Sports Studies Football Observatory, has said Liverpool have the highest probability of lifting the trophy again with a 28.9% chance. Arsenal are given a 18.8% chance of winning the title, while Chelsea stand on 16.2% and third, ahead of 10-time champions Manchester City on 14.4%. And the evening weather report is that this evening is mainly clear, windy at times, and warm to mild. Ends our weather report, and that item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines. As President Hakainde Hichilema prepares to open the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly on Friday, 12 September 2025, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, calls for an address that speaks not only to national achievements, but also to the daily struggles of ordinary Zambians. The Acton Institute for Policy Analysis Center IPAC takes note of the International Monetary Fund's IMF recent projection that Zambia's inflation rate will decrease to 7.9% in 2026. And finally, Kenya has been left in shock after the killing of a senior lawyer in a drive-by shooting on a busy street in the capital, Nairobi. For more news, follow us on Facebook, 5FM Radio Zambia, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. On behalf of the entire news crew and the technical department, thank you for listening to the happy world of 5FM. Stay safe and stay tuned to 5FM Radio. My name is Lance Sannie Banda. Enjoy the rest of the evening.